Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for Fargo Season 1, Episode 3, A Muddy Road. And this episode was another amazing episode. Probably the best of the 3 episodes we've had so far. Definitely. I feel like this one was definitely the best. It really was just a really great episode. I really was into this episode. There was a lot of stuff that happened that I was really into. And I really loved everything that happened in it. You know, we basically had 3 plots again, which I really liked. I'm really interested in seeing where the show is going, and there's a lot of stuff that I really liked about this episode, so let's just get to it, because I thought it was a really big one. Now, our main plot, I guess our main plot was, I don't really know, I guess we'll just start from the beginning. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on this show right now, and we also got to see a lot more of Lorne in this episode, which I was happy about, because we didn't get a lot of Lorne in the last episode. And from this episode, Lorne has probably become my favorite character. I love where they're going with his character. The episode literally opens, like, in the very beginning with just panning down the empty halls of a nondescript office at floor level was honestly very weird. You know, it's this weird office, and we don't know where we are or anything. All we know, you know, we're just panning down an office. You know, we see that there are cubicles. It's sterile. One might have, you know, soul-crushing to work at this place. Down a long hallway, we see the camera focuses on a generic fish tank screensaver, the kind where fish seemingly swim around at their own free will. You know, we're in 2006, so... But then this guy sitting in front of a computer makes the situation feel more desperate. He's distraught, concerned about something, you know, we don't know what he's so concerned about. He checks the walkway for a second time, and there is Lorne. So, as we know, this guy is screwed, because Lorne just, you know, we don't know what's going on with Lorne exactly. And all this guy just says is shit, over and over again. You know, like, that was honestly hilarious. The only thing this guy could say is just, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And that's literally what I'd be doing. If I were to see Lorne Malvo, I'd do the same thing, because that guy is fucking scary. He really is, I gotta say. You know, but that's one of the reasons why I love his character. And, Malvo, you know, Lorne has, cornered his prey, and basically says, tell them I'll pay it all back, and, you know, that's what the guy says. And Lorne then grabs the guy by the necktie, drags him down the hall, and he is, you know, he allows people, victims, and witnesses alike, he basically just, again, does not fuck around with people, and, he's caught on the office's security cameras. And instead of him getting caught for this, because he doesn't want to be caught for this, he leaves the fingerprints on a murder weapon at, you guessed it, Lester's house. So, basically to Lorne, this is basically just a game. That's kind of what it is to Lorne. He doesn't take it that seriously, and it's definitely interesting there. So, he then drags this guy to the office garage, holds up a nasty-looking knife, which he uses to remove the man's clothing. Lorne stuffs the guy in the truck, and this is the guy, and basically, we find out why that scene at the end of the second episode was so important, because this is the guy that wound up frozen in the woods outside of Bimajidi. This is basically this is what Molly calls her naked fella. That's the guy that Molly's trying to find, and that's who he was. So, I thought that was really well done in the beginning, because I had no idea what that last scene in the second episode was all about. It was just, all I knew was that it was extremely weird, and it kind of came out of nowhere. Now we actually know where that scene was going, and I was really happy with that. You know, I was really happy about that, definitely. And the cool thing is we actually get to see his perspective during the car crash. We see him fleeing in the snow, stopping to catch a breath, which turns out to be one of his last. And basically, he's thinking about these pictures of the little kids at his cubicle. We don't exactly know what he's thinking, but all we know is that that's not good for him. So, you know, Molly at this point is on the case. She's kind of on a double homicide, though, at Lester's house. She drives to St. Paul to interview the witness in the office abduction. We'll get to a little bit more of Molly later. But basically, Lorne then goes to Stavros Milos, who, you know, he's part of the blackmail case. He pays a visit to Don Chump's gym, where he confronts the trainer, and he says, you got bronzer on your blackmail notes. Don takes Lorne to a closet to speak in private, And he's pretty terrified. He's like, you couldn't find a smaller room for us to talk. And he's like, please do not tell Helena about this. And Lorne says, I'm not going to tell Helena. And he definitely looks very intimidated by Lorne. I mean, definitely, as I said, when you see Lorne, you are pissed. You don't know what's going to happen to him. Because he probably knows what Lorne just did to this other guy. So, he doesn't know what's going to happen to him. And all Lorne says is, I have 2 questions for you. And 1 comment. And he says, first question, why did you take $43,613? And basically he says because he wanted to start a Turkish bath. And the second question is, what do you know? It turns out he doesn't really know anything. All he knows is what Helena told him, and that Milos lies about his money, which is vague and not very helpful. So basically, so Lorne says, you're blackmailing a guy for something, but you don't know what it is. And the hitman then offers his comment. He says, you're an idiot. The good news, he says, is that he's taking over the blackmail scheme. So basically, this guy is an idiot. He's a complete idiot. He really is. Lorne is right. He's an idiot because he has no idea what he's doing. He has no idea what he's getting himself into. And I found that really funny because this guy has no idea what he's doing. And it's just, I thought that was pretty funny. Basically, you work for the guy. Don says you work for the guy and trying to put together the pieces and failing miserably. And then basically, Lorne says, exactly, and now you work for me. The first thing we need is a new blackmail letter. So basically, Lorne is blackmailing this guy to work for him, in a way. And I thought that was definitely kind of interesting there. So after this happens, we then see, what happens with Lorne later is that this guy enters... What happens with Lorne? Oh, God. Basically... right. I'm sorry, I was forgetting something for a second there. Okay. Lorne's visiting the drug dealer, who appears to be quite professional. He has a very clean, organized van full of illegal merchandise. And Lorne wants Adderall. That's what he wants. He wants Adderall and a high dosage, too. And he basically said, just pretend I'm 300 pounds, 9-year-old who can't finish the sentence. The guy also tried to sell him a zombie survival kit. And that was really funny. I definitely thought that was a funny scene. It seems like anytime Lorne visits someone, it's really funny. That was definitely a funny scene for me. And, we then go to, we then see... Milos, who, he sees a dog, his dog sees a deer go outside, he sees Milos, Milos is calling for the dog's name is King, and Milos sticks his arm through the dog door, unlocks the door, lets himself in, he replaces, Milos's, Akatoba, I don't know how you pronounce that, with whatever he does, he replaces it with the Adderall, and Milos is coming, and yet Lorne is, calm, walking slowly. He once again seems unconcerned about getting caught, or simply knows why he's so good he won't get caught. We think that Milos is going to see Lorne, and we think, maybe Lorne's going to confront him, talk to him possibly about what he just learned from this blackmailer. That's not what happens. Instead, Milos walks to the door and sees his dog dead with another ransom note. And basically, we don't get to see what this note says, so... No one is outside, and he basically just got screwed, and he's pretty pissed off at Lorne at this point. He's pretty pissed off at what he's done, and he's really pissed off at him. So Lorne at this point, so definitely, as I said, Lorne at this point is in very big trouble. Milos is also in trouble. Lorne is in his home office, staring at a frame painting of a nice scraper, and says there's a hand statue and a giant stained glass mural of St. Lawrence, patron saint badasses burned alive by the Romans. And he says, know what he said? Turn me over, I'm done on this side. And, Milos is pissed off at him. He's livid. Obviously, he's upset that he just killed his dog. And he's like, he raised his price. Eat a turd. He's like, I have no sympathy for you. You killed my dog. I have no sympathy for you. And he says, oh, you wanted $1 million after kill. You want $1 million. So you kill. He's basically like, you kill my dog, but you want $1 million after it? Hell no, I'm not doing that. You killed my dog. And he basically just says, eat a turd. And he's saying no. So Lorne says it can't be his ex. And so Milos says, it can't be his ex-wife. She loved the dog too. And Lorne wants to know who else knows about the money. And he says nobody knows, it's impossible. And Lorne wants to know what's that supposed to mean, but Milos won't budge. Instead, he pops some like candy. And Lorne asks to move onto the property until this thing's over. And using the line, the culprit came to the house once and might do it again, Milos unwisely agrees. You know, that's what he decides to do. He decides to just agree and go along with it. So, you know, it definitely is really, really, intense there at this point. And then the very end of the episode, you know, we get this huge, thing at the end, which I'll talk about. But we see that, Milos is entering a shower. He's trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with him. You know, popping some more of the wrong pills. He enters a shower, and suddenly the water turns to blood. He doesn't know what's going on here. You know, he's realizing what is happening, and Lorne is walking out of the home, smiling, carrying a red-covered notebook, and hiding canisters of pig's blood in the trunk of a car. So, he put pig's blood in the shower, obviously, to basically scare him. And I thought that was a really intense scene, and honestly, it was kind of funny. But, overall, I definitely really enjoyed Lorne's plot. Let's go to Lester, because Lester had a lot to do in this one, as well. Lester definitely, you know, he had a lot to do. So, you know, Lester, basically his plot in this episode was what it's been, you know, sort of, you know, basically what it's been for the past 2 episodes. And what I like about Lester is we're starting to see a more darker side of Lester in this episode, I think, and I definitely thought that was interesting. Basically, we see that Pearl has left, you know, even though Pearl's dead, she has left him 2 more nuggets of wisdom, and the thing that she's left him is basically the key to life is happiness and hope are written out on the refrigerator. And Lester's at the kitchen table, hearing his wife nagging from beyond the grave, looking in the living room, which he still hasn't cleaned up at all. Even that coffee cup is still there. He flashes to the chief gang shot and decides it's time to go back to work. Because, you know, he's upset at what he's done, and he realizes, you know, the only way for me to get out of this is to go to work. So he drives to the insurance office, where the secretary gives him a hug. And boss Bo Monk asks if he wants to, his boss asks if he wants to help out by running some papers over to the Hess widow, or on account of her husband being murdered. And, he has a dentist thing, so it would be a big help, and Lester agrees. So then we see 2 arrows shot in a for sale sign. We're at the Hess house now, and they're the 2 hooligans' brothers harassing Lester. And Gina Hess opens the door. You know, that is Sam's wife. That is Sam's wife. And, you know, she yells at her sons, and she's like, get off the guy and quit shooting up the law sign. And she says, they're wolves, what do you want? And she perks up when Lester says he's from Monk Insurance. She says, why didn't you say so? Do you want a whiskey? You know, she just seems really happy all of a sudden. She's like, do you want a whiskey? When do I get my money? And Lester tries to offer his condolences. Gina is wearing a hooded pink robe, lights a cigarette, holding what could be described, you know, she's holding, some sort of a cup of some sort, probably, like, with, wine in it or something. She's obviously concerned about the money, but the only thing she ever cared about in her relationship, basically, that was the only thing she ever cared about in her relationship with Sam. We basically realized that she's only interested in money. She basically is blackmailing Lester. Lester is trying to explain that in the case of a murder, there's a different process, for the paperwork. Interesting how he keeps it together, being so complicated in Sam's death. And then she says, wait a minute, you're that guy, your wife was killed, and the chief of police, he was murdered at your house, right? And, Gina asks, I think you better have that whiskey. Suddenly, they're into the living room, she's starting to come on to him, possibly seducing him, and, you know, she says you should get out there, and she said, did you like her, your wife, and she hated her husband, and basically we find out she hated Sam. She met him at a stripper. She met him as a stripper in Vegas, and Lester admits he's never been to a strip club. She plays with Rob and says, well, I was good, and she basically, tells him, you know, all about her, and she's basically just trying to seduce him, and, you know, it really is awkward here. And the hilarious thing is that her sons are seeing this all through the window. You know, shoots his brother in the ass. One of them shoots his brother in the ass with an arrow. And Lester looks out on the scene and notices that there are 2 men in the woods also watching, and it's Numbers and Wrench. So that's that. So now it turns out that Numbers and Wrench are actually going to be working for Lester. I thought they were going to be working for Lorne, but they're actually going to be working for Lester. So I definitely thought that was really interesting there. And basically what happens is we see that Lester's hand is giving him the kind of trouble that makes him think this injury is going to be his downfall. He's mowing in the bathroom, trying to squeeze pus out of the infected wound, still trying to cover up how he got it. His coworkers say they're going to Arby's. He tries to redress his hand and walks out, and he's surprised to see Numbers and Wrench waiting for him in front of the office. And the phone rings, and it's Joel to impound. They have Lester's car, which is very surprising for him, but really good news. And Numbers looks at his brochures, and Wrench looks brooding, so he says, well, so what can I do for you fellas then? And Lester asks, because we're kind of busy right now, and basically, Wrench signs and makes angry face to Lester, saying, no, sorry. Lester says, not comprehending sign language, because he doesn't realize that Wrench, I guess Wrench can't talk. He has sign language, and, Numbers starts translating. He says, Sam Hess, you family of his, and he's not getting any better. And Lester is asking, he still is being terrible at lying. He's not getting any better at hiding a surprise when it comes to being questioned. And Wrench jumps up, threatening. He signs in Lester's face aggressively. And Lester's flustered, intimidated, and pushed against the desk in his chair. And he then lies and says, I got a deaf cousin. And then the last person he wants to see shows up is Molly. Of course, he does not want to see Molly. And he walks over, the door's locked, and he's like, oh, sorry about the door, I'm not sure how that happened. And he's trying to play it cool, like Numbers and Wrench are customers, and Molly says, I'm not interrupting anything, am I? And once again, doubting he will give her a true answer. She's on to him at this point. You can tell that she is on to him. Lester closed the door behind them, relieved. Molly suspects they're not from around here, and Lester agrees, saying they were looking for a traveler insurance, which is still an odd thing for an out-of-towner to be shopping for. And now Molly's going to pay her own con. With the chief dead, she's worried about her life insurance. And she's got all her details. She's holding up a manila envelope and then drops it in. And both she and Lester bend down to pick up the papers. It turns out that Molly stuck that photo of Malva from the office building. Security cameras in there on top. And Lester notices, oh, well, okay, there are lots of choices policy-wise, he says. And then she says, of course, I can't give you the whole-on speech. Molly insists she's got time. It's all in here. He looks at his watch, getting more flustered by the second. He says, I gotta close up here real soon. He says, always making excuses. Molly studies him. She thanks him for his time, and he ushers her out the door. And he knows he's in trouble at this point. He knows that he is in trouble, and he knows that he's screwed at this point, that she's on to him. So, not good for Lester at all. And then the very end with Lester was kind of surprising, because it turns out, Lester goes over to his brother, he goes over to his brother Chaz, who he tries out a taser, sticks it in his coat pocket, and Chaz, who was facing the gun cabinet, headphones on, turns around, finally noticing Lester, and he says, so which one makes the biggest hole? They go out, give it a try, and basically for the first time, we're kind of seeing Lester kind of dangerous, because now he has a taser and everything. And I think he truly is worried and everything. And I think Lester, I really hope we see a more darker side of Lester. We're seeing Lester shooting, and Numbers and Wrench are holed up in an ice fishing house. And it definitely is really, really interesting. I definitely thought that was really interesting. And by the way, that montage I was going with, this whole long speech that Lorne was giving, which basically said, which I'm not going to read the whole speech, but that was Lester's plot. Very, very strong. We can see definitely a darker side of Lester, and I really did enjoy that about this episode. Let's go to Molly. Molly's plot was by far my favorite in the episode, believe it or not. I really got into Molly's plot, and I thought it was probably my favorite. Because you gotta feel bad for Molly at this point. You really do, because she's on the case. She's been taken off the double homicide at the Nygaard's house. She drives to St. Paul to interview the witness in the office abduction, and Phil is just typing away, and one woman says, nice guy, and, she has, I heard drugs, and I heard he slept with a 13-year-old girl and things like that. And the security officer at the office takes Molly to see footage of the crime, and there is Lorne dragging Phil out of the elevator. The security guard wonders if this is the guy who killed all those people in Bemajidi, and Molly wonders that too. So she's pretty much, she kind of has a double, homicide thing here, because she's still trying to figure out who killed Pearl. She still thinks that Lorne did that and everything, but now she's trying to figure out what happened with this naked guy. She's trying to figure out what happened there as well. So Gus is still feeling sorry for himself over that bad guy who got away. He runs the place from that ticket he never actually wrote, and discovers the car is registered to Lester. He doesn't seem to know that connection yet. He does realize that's not the guy who was driving. Gus goes to talk to the lieutenant in the bathroom where he's taking a dump, and, Gus wants to talk about that triple homicide and his reprimand. He says, talk to your shift commander to add insult to injury. He's mistaken for another cop who corrects the lieutenant, launches into his Lorne story. He lets the guy go with a warning, but it turns out the car belongs to one of the victims. The lieutenant then bursts out of the stall, pissed. He tries to understand how badly Gus screwed up while buttoning his pants, and says, it's goddamn Seahawks Falls all over, and Gus is instructed to look through every mug book in the state to find this guy. So, he's also trying to find out everything. And I thought that was definitely really interesting as well, because he's also trying to find out everything, and Molly is as well. So, Molly ends up meeting up with her friend. Her friend's name, what was her friend's name? Molly's meeting up with an old friend. I don't think we got her name or anything, but basically she's telling her all about her case and everything. Her friend is one of those people who moved out of Bemidji right after high school because nothing ever happens in the town. Nothing ever happened there except for these recent 3 homicides. And Molly's asked if she's dating anyone. She makes a joke about being an old ship captain, and her friend doesn't get it. The woman launches into her own stories about internet dating, including one about the guy she's dating now, and on a trip to Acapulco, they thought he got a spider bite, and Molly's just realizing, my life is not as interesting, that's kind of what she's realizing, I think, at this point. And, then we have that whole thing with Lester and everything, and after that happens, she goes to Bill. She goes to Bill, and once again, Bill is not convinced. Bill is kind of upset with her. And, also, Gus is not getting any closer to finding his suspects. He realizes it's time to tell Bemidji what happened. Greta suggests telling them in person. So they go on a road trip where Molly once again gets reprimanded. She showed him the picture of Lorne, which she admits to showing to Lester, but not officially. And basically, you should have seen her face. It was like he saw a ghost. This is pretty much, she's pretty much thinking, he looks so scared, maybe he did do it. And Bill is pretty upset at this. He says that she's pestering him again, and basically she's just pestering Lester again. And he says, if this is your suspect, put it on the APB, and then we'll get him in. So then Gus and Greta walk into the station, and Molly is up front at reception filling something and runs over when Gus says he needs to talk to someone about Lester. She suggests talking at her desk. Gus explains his story, ending with the car belonging to Lester. And basically, he does believe her of what's going on. He seems to be the person that is believing her. And Molly asks about their situation. They start to talk about what's going on with Greta and everything. And he says it's kind of been him and Greta for the last 10 years. And she softens and asks Gus if they want to join her for dinner. So, Gus and Greta seem to like Molly. When a former cop dad notices Gus's uniform, he has to be associated with Ben Schmidt, which turns out to be Gus's boss. And Lou recalls a deal they had back in the day, a joint task force in Seahawks Falls. It was not a good situation. And they're talking about everything. And eventually Molly asks Greta if she has a boyfriend. And, Gus, too young for a boyfriend. She's only 12. And, I'm wondering, did Molly really set up this as a date? Does she really want to be with Gus? Does she like Gus or something? I don't really know. And all she says is, not sure I want to live in a world where that can happen to a person. And what I'm wondering is, does she want to be with Gus? It kind of seems like what's going to happen here is that maybe there's a potential relationship ending between Gus and Molly. And that was the episode, and I loved the episode in my opinion. I thought it was a great episode. It was another really strong episode for this show. But a couple things I am wondering. The first thing I'm wondering is, what the hell is going on with Lorne at this point? What's going to happen with Lorne and Milos? I don't know where that's going exactly. He wants his money, we know that, so he's basically just blackmailing him. Lester. Is Lester going to be getting darker? I feel like he is getting darker, and I feel like he's eventually, by the end of the season, he will be as bad as Lorne, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Is Molly going to find out that Lorne did kill Pearl? I'm thinking she's really close to it. Is she also going to find out that Lorne killed that one guy, the naked guy? Is she going to find out about that? Is she possibly starting a relationship with Gus? I don't know. But again, great episode. Probably my favorite episode of the season. Really, really loved it. Let me know what you guys saw of this episode. What do you think's going to happen? And I'm loving this show. Every episode, it's getting better and better and better. And that's it for my review. I hope you enjoy it. My next review will be for Arrow. But I do have one video before that, which I don't want to talk about yet, but I will see you for that video. Alright, bye.